Welcome students to your information technology and its application in business class. In today's class, we are going to continue with spreadsheet assignment 7. Now let us begin with this assignments. Now in assignment 7, there are 3 questions that are to be solved. Let's begin. The first question is saying Mr. A has taken an amount of loan for rupees 3 lakhs for a period of 7 years payable at the rate 11% per annum. Calculate the amount of each installment to be paid monthly and quarterly. Now this particular question is asking for calculating the loan installment to be paid by Mr. A on monthly basis and on quarterly basis. Now this we can calculate using Excel functions, and that too financial functions, because MS Excel provides various financial functions that are easy for calculations. And the financial function that we are going to use to solve this question number 1 is called PMT. Now this PMT function, it calculates the payment of installment for repayment of a loan. So let's start. Now I have taken up an Excel sheet and I have also zoomed in so that you can properly view it. Now here in question number 1, the data that has been provided, that I have put it over here. That is rate of interest 11%, time in years 7 years, and the loan amount rupees 3 lakhs. Now I have to calculate the installments, monthly and quarterly. Now for that what I have said I'm going to use PMT function. Now this particular cell I have chosen or I have selected for the calculation purpose where the answer will come. That is the installment amount on monthly basis will be calculated in this particular cell. Right. So before we start typing in a particular cell, what we have learned that in Excel for calculation purpose, the basic thing, whether we are entering any formula, whether we are entering any function, the basic thing that first required is an equal to sign. And the function that we are going to use, that I have talked about, which will calculate the installments for repayment of the loan, is PMT. See, it's saying over here that PMT calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and on a constant interest rate. Right? Okay, so here it will help us to calculate the interest installment amount, both the principal and the interest. So let's begin with the first bracket. Now whenever you put the first bracket, opening bracket, the formula for the function or the syntax, the proper term for this formula is syntax for any function. Now the syntax that we have to put, it's showing over here. What it is showing, first input that the syntax will take is a rate. That is the rate of interest. Next, separate the input with comma. Next is NPER. Now what is this NPER? This is the number of installments. That is number of yearly payment. If annual, then we have to multiply the number of years into the number of yearly payment. If the payment is to be made quarterly, then we have to multiply number of years with 4 so that we can break up the number of installments into quarters. If monthly, We have to multiply the number of years with 12. So the number of installments on monthly basis. And if weekly, then we have to multiply the number of years with 52. This we are coming later, right? Next input after NPER. I repeat, NPER is for the number of installments to be paid, right? Next input that it takes is PV. That is the amount of loan, right? That is the PV. Next, in brackets you find other two options, other two inputs. Now, when these types of brackets are used, means these inputs are optional. You can provide those inputs, you can skip those inputs. Now, what are those? Here, the optional inputs are FV. Now, what is FV? This is the amount at the end of the period. I repeat, FV is the amount at the end of the period. If FV is omitted, if it is not there in the question, then FV has the default value 0, right? And the last input, again optional one, is type. Now this type input, it takes two types of input. One is 0, another one is 1. Now 0 for payment at the end of the period. If the transaction has taken place at the end of the month or end of the year or end of the quarter, then you have to put the input as 0 for type. When for 1, for payment at the beginning of the period. So this you have to remember, 0 for end of the period payment, 1 for the beginning of the period payment. You close the bracket, press enter, your task will be done. So let's begin. Now we have written the function PMT, we have opened the bracket. First input we are going to provide is the rate. Now as per our question, it has said the rate of interest, it's in 11% per annum, it's in yearly basis. But we are calculating the installment on monthly basis. So we have to break the interest rate into months. For that, what we are going to do? Now, once I have written the rate of interest with percentage, I will directly select the cell. Then I have to break it into months. So what I will do? I will divide it by 12. So this is the rate. Separate with comma. Next comes NPER. That is the number of installments. What we have said, that is, it is the number of years into the number of yearly payments or quarterly payments or monthly payments or weekly as per the question. So I'll click on this cell where I have written 7, that is the number of years, and multiply with, we are calculating the monthly installment, so I'll multiply with 12. So total number of installments, right? Separate it with comma. Next, PV, that is the amount of loan. The amount is 3 lakhs. Right? Now in our question, there is no area that has been given for FV or type. So we are not providing those. Okay? If you want, you can provide as 0 also. So separate it with comma, you provide the FV, the default value 0. If you consider that the installment to be paid at the end of the period, you can provide 0, or else you can provide 1. But here, then close the bracket. But here we are not using that. We are skipping these two optional inputs for the syntax. Only the 3 main inputs we are providing, rate, NPER and PV. Now we are closing the bracket, press enter. So the monthly installments to be paid is 5,136.73 rupees. Right. Another way you can do it by directly typing. If you don't want to type these things previously, then you can do it by directly providing the input. Means I have used the cells referencing, but you can directly type the inputs also. For that, how you will do? Let's take equal to PMT, bracket open, the rate is 11%. So I'll type 11%, divide it by 12, separate it with comma, then NPR, that is 7, multiply with 12, that is months, separate it with comma, 3 lakh, the loan amount, that is the PV. Close the bracket, press enter. The same answer will come. So you have two different options. You can use any one of your choice. Now, another thing, the answer that has came, it's in negative and in red. The font has changed, the font color has changed to red and our negative sign is there. So why? So is this a wrong answer? We have done a mistake. That's why the negative sign, the minus sign is over here. No. Think practically. The loan which has been approved by the loan giving institution, the 3 lakh amount or whatever the amount may be, it is being credited to your account. Means you are receiving the money. But the amount of installments, the repayment installments that you have to pay, that is out of your pocket, out of your bank, you have to pay. So when we are talking about the payment, means the cash or the bank balance is outflowing. That's why the negative is required. Means the amount is outflowing from your account or from your pocket. So the answer is correct. So remember, whenever we are receiving anything, it should not be in minus. When we are paying, while using this Excel functions, when we are paying the amount, it should be negative. So this is the correct one. Right? So this we have calculated the monthly installment. Next move over to the quarterly one. The same process. The difference is the rate of interest, we have to break it into quarters, and the time, that is the NPR, number of installment, we have to multiply with 4, so that total number of installments we can get. Right? Again the same process, equal to PMT, bracket open, I'm not going to type again. So rate of interest divided by 4, because we are calculating the quarterly installment, separate it with comma, then NPR, number of years, multiply with 4, separate it with comma, then the PV, that is the loan amount. Again we are skipping the optional inputs FB and type. Bracket close, press enter. So if Mr. A pays quarterly installments, the amount is 15,503.21 rupees, and it should be negative because the amount has to be paid. Right? So these two are the answers for the question number 1 for monthly installment and quarterly installments. Right? So we have completed question number 1. Next, moving on to the next question, number 2. What are he saying? That Mr. Y is depositing an amount of rupees 1000 in a bank at the beginning of each month. So, Mr. Y is depositing rupees 1000 in a bank at the beginning of each month. The question is specifying the time of payment. Okay. Next, what it is saying, calculate the amount that he will receive after 5 years with the rate of interest 4% per annum. So Y is depositing 1000 monthly on the beginning of the month, and after 5 years at the rate 4% per annum interest rate, how much amount he will receive, that we have to calculate. Now for solving this question number 2, again we are going to use a financial function. that is called FV, future value, right? Now this particular FV, this function, it will calculate the total future value for a series of periodic investments at a given rate of interest. Again, the formula, the syntax for PV is same like PMT, that it will take the rate of interest as input, NPR as input. Now previously PMT took the input as PV. Here FV will take the third input as PMT. Then PV and last input is type. So first let's see question number 2, how to solve. So here I have written the rate of interest 4%, time in years 5, deposit amount, this should be in per month, so 1000. So amount received after 5 years we have to calculate. So let's take up the function equal to is must, then FV. So here also it's saying what? It returns the future value of an investment based on periodic constant payments and a constant interest rate. See here this Mr. Y is investing on a periodic basis. That is at the beginning of each month, and he is paying a constant amount 1000, and the rate of interest is also constant 4% per annum. Right? Let's open the bracket. Here you see the syntax. First, the rate, that is the rate of interest. Next, NPR, just like the previous one, number of investment, that is number of years into number of yearly investment. Again, we have to use that particular formula, that if investment quarterly, multiply it by 4, monthly multiply it with 12, weekly by 52. Right? Next, PMT. Now what is this PMT? This is the amount of investment at the end of the period. That is here it is 1000. PV by default, just like the previous one, here we have to take it as 0. And the last, and PV is optional input. You may provide, you may not provide. If the question is silent, you can put 0 or else keep. Then the last optional input, that is type. Again, it takes two types of input, 0 and 1. 0 for payment at the end of the period, 1 for payment at the beginning of the period. Right? But here in this question we cannot skip type, because the question has specifically mentioned that is the deposit are being made each month at the beginning of each month. Right? So let's start. First, the rate of interest. I'm not going to type, already I have typed rate of interest. Now, the deposit amount, it has been, see, we are investing monthly. So again, the depositing amount 1000 rupees, these are being deposited on a monthly basis. But the rate of interest is given on per annum basis. So again we have to break it into months. So I'll divide it with 12. Right? Separate it with comma. Next, NPER, that is the number of installments, this is the number of times 1000 rupees he is paying. That is 5 years into 12. The total installment amount, total number of installment is 60. Okay, then separate it with comma. PMT. Now here, one thing you should keep in mind, that is this 1000 rupees that I skipped, this 1000 rupees he is paying. Just like the previous concept, rupees 3 lakh he received. So that I have written in positive. But this 1000 he is paying each month. So it is the cash or the bank balance, it's outflowing from his account. So this should be in negative. So a minus sign has to be given. Now if you remove this minus sign, then the answer will be in negative, which means the logic is wrong. So why I have given this minus sign? Because this 1000, he's for the time being he's investing, right, for the future. But the amount is outflowing from his account. So that's why we are using a minus sign over here. Okay, let's start again. FB rate divided with 12, comma NPR 5 into 12, comma the PMT amount. Now, PV is optional, but we are skipping it by giving it as default 0 because we have to provide the last optional input because our question has specified that the amounts 1000 rupees are being invested every month at the beginning of every month. So for beginning the input is 1. Okay, so close the bracket, press enter. So this is what the amount, the 66,519.97 rupees Mr. Y is going to receive after 5 years. Right. Now here, you see, if I remove this minus sign and press enter, see, the figure will be in negative, which means this amount is outflowing, but it's not that. This amount he is receiving. So that's why you have to keep these things in mind. So I'll put the minus sign over here. Okay. So the answer is 66,519.97. Right. So this question number 2, that deals with future value, we have completed. So moving to the next question. This question number 3. See, it has given a couple of information regarding name of some products, price per unit of the products, and stock availability in units of those products. And what it's saying, find out the price and availability of the products H5, B11, A4 using VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP with exact match. Now you can ask, the H5, B11, A4, we can easily find out from here only that H5 its price is 32 and stock availability 22, B11 51 is the price and 50 units are there. Then by searching A4, A4 is 85, 65 units are there in the stock. Now here we have only a small data. Think of a situation where lakhs or thousands or lakhs or millions of data are being there. Will it be possible for you to search each and every product names or whatever the item names over there individually and then see what are those figures available with those particular items? It's very cumbersome. It's not possible. So for that, we use this lookup functions. Right? So what we are going to do, we are going to learn how to use this VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. Right? So for that, let's go back to the Excel sheet. Now here I have written the data. In table format, I have written the name of the product, the price and the stock availability of the product. Now first we are going to start with VLOOKUP. Now this particular VLOOKUP, it's an important function obviously in MS Excel when the database is huge, which are being used to search the corresponding information provided in the main data set for few data by verticality. See here I have written the data in vertical format, that is up and down, top to bottom. Right, and for this again we are going to use VLOOKUP function. So let's type. I've taken this particular. Let's take. Before we move into this, what I have to find? I have to find H5, right? So I'll write over here H5. Okay, this particular cell, the value in this particular cell will be searched by VLOOKUP. And here, as per our question, both the price and availability of the product we have to find out. So let's write over here price and here we write availability. Right, so this particular we are going to this particular cell we are going to use for the price and this one for the availability of the stock, right? So first we are going to take this particular cell for H5. So first we are going to give equal to sign, which is obvious for any formula or function while we are going to use any Excel. So first we are going to write V look up. See, it's saying looks for a value in the leftmost column of our table, then returns a value in the same row from a column you specify by default in an ascending order. Right? So we are going to find what H5's price and availability. I've opened a bracket. Now you can see the syntax. What it is saying, lookup value. Now this lookup value is the value to be looked up. Means what value we are looking for? We are looking for H5. So what we are going to do? We are going to click on the cell where we have given the value. Click on it. So H5 is the lookup value that we are looking for. So first syntax is lookup value. Next, separate it with comma. Next, what it is saying? Table array. What is that? It is the data array of the table containing the whole data which must include the return value column. I repeat, it is the data array of the table that we are going to use or the data set that we are going to use for finding this item H5's price and availability. That data we have to, the table we have to select. So what we are going to do, we are going to select this entire data provided in our table. Selected, it has taken in range form, right? Next, separate it with comma. Next, what it is saying, call index number. Call index number, that is column index number it is asking for. So it is the column number within the table array that is to return a value from. So the column number we have to provide. See, what is the column number? We are looking for the price. In which column it is there? It is in D, that is second column. First column is A, that is column 1 is A, column B is 2, column C is 3. So we are looking for the price. So column number is 2 for this particular price. Right? Next, what it is asking for? Again, an optional input that is separated with comma, that is range lookup. That is, it will specify the exact or the nearly or the closest match. So we have to put 0 for exact match and 1 for the closest or the nearest match. Now, here as per our question, it has been specified that we have to use the exact match. So what we have to put? We have to put 0. Now you can skip it also. This is optional one. But our question has specified, so we are providing this optional input. Close the bracket, press enter. See, 32 is the price. Is 32 is the price? Yes, 32 is the price for H5. Same way we are going to calculate or we are going to find out the availability of H5. Let's start. Equal to VLOOKUP, bracket open, lookup value H5, this particular cell we are referencing, separated with comma, The table array again, the data set, separate it with comma, then column index number. Now the availability column, in which column it's there? It's in C. So it is the third column. So here we have to type 3. We have used 2, number 2 for column B for price and number 3 for stock availability we are using over here. Separate it with comma. Again what we want the exact match. We provide 0, close the bracket, press enter, that's 122. And the same thing we are going to apply for other product items B11 and A4, right? So what I will do it again and again. Boom. I'll use a drop down. I can use a drop down also over here. So let's learn how to use a drop down. Because if I type, let's say B11, see it's done. B11 51 and availability is 50 units. And for A4, we'll type A4, it will be done. You can do it separately also. Now, let's learn how to use a drop down because it's very difficult. One by one, I'm going to type the name of the product and then the items, the information that I want, it will be available to me. I don't want that. I will create a drop down list. How to do that? The cell on which I want that drop down to be done, I want this particular cell on. So what I will do, I'll select this cell, go to the data menu or data option, data ribbon. Here you'll find the data tools group. From there the option data validation. I repeat, data menu or data ribbon. Then from there data tools. Then data tools is a group. From there data validation. Click on it. Data validation dialog box will be before you. Now under the settings, validation criteria you have to provide. Now allow any value, go for the drop down, select the option list. I repeat, allow, select the option list. Now data source you have to provide. What are the data that you want in your drop down list? So these are my data. I'll select the data range, I'll click on OK, a drop down will be created. So from here I can easily select the data sets. I can, if I want say H5, it's there, it will be done automatically. B11 as for our question, B11 done, then A4, it will be done easily. Then G15, whatever price or whatever data for whatever the item we do, it will be done automatically. Right? So this is how we use this VLOOKUP. Now, it may not be important when the data set is small, but it's very useful when there are lots and lots of data and information is there. Right? So this is what about VLOOKUP. Let's move on to the, let's go to the next portion of this question number 3, that is HLOOKUP. Now the same concept, the same thing, the same way we are going to do. Only the difference over here for HLOOKUP is we are going to arrange our data in the form of column, in the form of rows, that is horizontally from left to right or right to left. Right, the same concept like VLOOKUP we are going to use over here. So here under VLOOKUP we have arranged the data vertically. For HLOOKUP we have to arrange the data horizontally. This we have to remember. The concept is same. So let's start. So what item we are going to find? Again H5. H5. Let's write over here price. Okay, so this particular cell we are going to use for calculating the data, calculating the values. So we'll find the price of H5 using HLOOKUP. So let's start HLOOKUP. So What it say? Look for a value in the top row of a table or array of values and returns the value in the same column from a row you specify. Right? So let's begin. Again, look up value. What value we are looking for? H5. So that particular cell, separate it with comma. Next, table array. Again, our table array is this one. We are selecting this. Table array given, separated with comma. Now, row index number. So here, we have to see the price is in which row. It's in second row. First row name, second row price, third name. Stock availability, just like the previous one. Price is in the second row, so type 2 row number. Separate it with comma. Exact match I want, so I'll put 0. Close the bracket, press enter, price will be there. The same thing we are going to use for the availability also, equal to H lookup, bracket open, lookup value is H5, separate it with comma, select your table data or table range, then the row index numbers. Availability, the stock availability is in the row 3, third row. So what we are going to specify over here, row index is 3. Separate it with comma, exact match required, close the bracket, press enter, answer will be before you. Right? Same applicable for B11 another item. So you can use the drop down also. Again, I'll show the drop down over here also. Go for the data option, data menu, then data tools, data validation, under settings, allowed, go for the drop down, go for the list option, source. Source is this particular, these names of these items. Click on OK. Your drop down will be created. Click on the drop down, you want B11 to be viewed, B11, A4 to be displayed, A4, right? So this way you can do it easily, right? So with this, we are completed our spreadsheet assignment 7, which is your last assignment for the spreadsheet. So here we are concluding. Thank you.